They said Fink could talk a locked door into believing it had always been open. No one ever agreed on where he came from. Some claim a quiet southern town. Others swore he was imported from the Polish corridors of old universities. Fink never corrected them. He understood early that mystery, properly managed, was more valuable than disclosure. He learned to let people finish his story for him. What was certain was this: Fink possessed language the way a surgeon possessed a scalpel: precise, confident, and devastatingly effective. He knew how to listen past what people said and respond to what they meant. He could lower his voice at the exact moment a room leaned in. He could pause long enough to make silence feel intentional, not awkward. He didn't just speak, he arranged belief. Money followed him as if persuaded. Investors didn't feel sold, they felt seen. Boys didn't feel convinced, they felt enlightened. He could describe a future so vividly that people swore they'd already glimpsed it somewhere just beyond the present. Contracts were signed not because the numbers were flawless, but because Fink made people feel foolish for doubting what he could already see so clearly. By the age of 40, he was a millionaire without a product anyone could quite define. Communication strategies, narrative architect, culture translator. His titles changed depending on who was asking. But what never changed was demand. He became the most sought after man in North America, flown into cities to speak at black tie dinners, closed door summits, and rooms where decisions were made before the public ever heard the questions. Fink always delivered. Applause followed him like punctuation. But there was one audience he never quite mastered. Women saw through the polish faster than most, or perhaps they didn't see through it. Perhaps they saw themselves reflected back in it, amplified. Fink knew exactly how to make a woman feel singular. He remembered details, mirrored dreams, spoke possibility into places that had been quiet far too long. He didn't lie, and that was the most dangerous part. He simply said what could be true if circumstances, timing, and discipline align, and they rarely did. From one woman to the next, Fink crossed lines he told himself he could redraw later. He talked his ways into intimacy the same ease he talked his way into boardrooms. And for a long time, he talked his way out again, out of disappointment, out of betrayal, out of consequences. Apologies wrapped in eloquence, explanations softened by insight. He could make regret sound like growth until the day it didn't work. It happened quietly. No shouting, no dramatic exit. Just a woman who listened without interrupting, without nodding, without leaning in. And when Fink finished speaking, when he laid out his usual careful blend of charm, confession, and future promise, she simply said this: "You're saying the right things, but they no longer mean anything." That sentence, that sentence right there, it landed harder than any accusation could. Fink tried again. He tried again and he tried again. He adjusted his tone. He reframed the narrative. He reached for language that had never failed him before. But for the first time in his life, words fell flat like currency from a collapsed economy. And he could feel it. The moment his voice stopped carrying weight, he could feel it. She stood. She left. No argument to win. No battle to fight. no door to reopen. Fink sat alone with something unfamiliar. Silence that could not be persuaded. In the days that followed, the world continued to call. Invitations arrived. Fees increased. Stages awaited. He could still move crowds. He could still paint pictures so vivid that shimmered. But privately, a fracture had formed. He had finally met a situation he could not talk himself out of, only into, over and over and over again. And for the first time, Fink faced a question he had always avoided. Who was he when language stopped working? And in that reckoning, stripped of applause, stripped of seduction, stripped of escape, Fink stood at the edge of a new kind of mastery, one that required more than words. Whether he would learn it remained the one story he could not yet tell. The woman, his kryptonite, that stood, that leaned back and not forward. The one that hushed his mouth and made his ears listen. That woman, her name was Gail Price. And unlike everyone else in Fink's life, she did not arrive impressed.